Okay, Ken. So you have actually asked for applications to UK and New Zealand schools, do they accept GCE A-Level General Paper, the integrated program for English proficiency? Okay, what I would say is that if you are using the GP itself, right, it will actually be considered as an English proficiency, but they do set the requirements itself for students to actually have at least a minimum of a B. You also mentioned it seems some schools do not accept GP without GCE O-Level English, especially for IP students. Okay, for IP students itself, right, what you could do is at the point of application itself, you will need to include in your IP certificate that you have actually gotten from your school. With that itself, right, the universities will actually be able to use that to assessment based on your English. From as far as I know itself, a lot of the universities in the UK, they do accept IP students, and there isn't anyone that says no to that. It's only after you have actually completed your interview itself, right? If they feel that your English is not up to standards, they may actually ask you to actually sit for an English proficiency test. So Chandra, you actually asked what uni in UK accepts UKAT ANZ? Everyone. Because the UKAT ANZ and also the UKAT UK is actually the same test. It's just that the testing dates are different. Is the UKAT ANZ accepted by all UK universities? Yes, they are accepted by all the UK universities. So when it comes to that itself, it all depends on the availability of the students in terms of when we can actually sit for the test. Okay, so you have actually asked, your daughter has completed her A-levels, therefore planning to take the UKAT ANZ for Australia, UK this year and NTU next year. Can this be done? Yes, it actually can be done. As long as she has already registered for the UKAT ANZ this year, she can then basically put in her application itself to Australia first. Deadlines for most of the Australian universities are coming up soon. They are coming up on the 30th of June this year, with exception to the University of Newcastle as well as the University of New South Wales. These two itself, their deadlines are basically by September towards November. So when should the registration happen? In August? No, it doesn't happen in August itself. She would need to register for the UKAT ANZ before the 30th of May, because that is actually the last date of registration. She will need to sit for the test itself from between the 1st of July till the 5th of August. Suret, you have actually asked, since you're planning to apply to NTU next year, then when should we apply for the UKAT next year? No, you won't actually be able to do so, because if you are looking to basically apply for the UKAT to NTU itself, you will need to actually have your UKAT done this year. So better to give UKAT ANZ. This would depend on the students themselves. So as long as you have decided which universities you would like to apply to, you can then put in that particular application. As long as you're looking in terms of applying to an Australian university this year, I would advise strongly to basically sit for your UKAT ANZ this year. Otherwise, your application would not be considered for the Australian universities because they do not accept the UKAT UK test dates or even the test results. Okay. The representative from the University of Dundee is available now. I am actually admitting her in, and we can actually start our panel discussion with the University of Dundee. Hi, Vivian.
Hello.
Hey, Vivian. Great to actually have you here today.
Hi.
Hi. So, I actually have a couple of students and parents who are here right now itself. They are basically interested to find out a few things. I have actually shot a few questions itself. So, first of all itself, right, they would actually want to find out, right, what makes your medical program in Dundee unique compared to the others in the UK.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Ronald. So with regards to our medical school, the university is consistently ranked among the top medical school in the UK. So there are few student satisfaction, research, and also graduate outcome as well. So there are a few really unique aspects that include at the University of Dundee, students will be exposed to very early clinical exposure. So students will be treated as sort of like how do I put this in word?
An observer, a clinician.
Yeah, so you will feel like a doctor from day one at the University of Dundee. So we integrate real world experience from the outset. The other sort of like really unique thing that the University of Dundee do is the Nine Wells Hospital. Basically, it's one of the largest teaching hospital in Europe. It's located on campus, offering very exceptional clinical training. This is why our students will be exposed to clinical training, is because the students will be set within one of the largest teaching hospital.
All right.
Yes.
Then I do remember that anatomy will actually be taught in the university as well. How do you, in a sense, teach anatomy? Would you have like real cadavers for them, or is it
Yes.
so cadavers?
Yep. So one of the specialty is we teach so we have anatomy by that. We use the tail and bum cadavers. So basically the means we retain the lifelike flexible tissue qualities of the cadaver. So the experience is very close to is as close as to examining the anatomy of a living person as possible. So it's a very good experience.
Okay.
And so far, I would say that no other medical school in the UK is offering this at the moment.
Okay. Have you heard of any experiences from students basically either beating or any of those experiences the minute they actually see like a real life cadaver?
Yes. So we sort of like prep students, I guess, when they enter the first right, I think before they sort of like do dissections and all those things, the medical school will sort of like give them some ideas what you will be going to see. I think there will be some funny stories about like how students sort of like show up when they go into the session. Yeah, but along the way, I think it is a good experience. And I mean, if you want to be a doctor, this is something that you have to experience, right? It's an experience.
Correct. Then in terms of the curriculum itself, right, how does the University of Dundee actually structure it? Would it be like a traditional like lecture tutorial, or is it PPL, or is it an integrated kind of way of learning?
So we use integrated teaching. So what happened is the first year the students will basically start with a foundation in medicine block, which explore the fundamental science that the field of medicine that you need to have. Then this will sort of like help the students to think like a doctor and also begin clinical problem solving. And then throughout the first 3 years, learn about body systems, how they work, and then each year building on existing knowledge through we call it the spiral curriculum, which means that, when the students go into the 3rd, 4th, and 5th year, they still go back to what they have learned in the first 3 years. You will just how do I explain this spiral? So you still will learn. You will still come back to the basic.
Come back to the basic.
Yeah, you will recap the basic knowledge when you go in.
Okay. All right. Then in terms of the teaching hours itself, right? Would you be able to like share per week itself, right? How many teaching hours would there be for like, for example, for year one students, especially those who are going in like this year itself?
I don't really have maybe okay, something for students who consider doing the medical program is, I think for Dundee, right, we have a really comprehensive web page that actually tells students what they will do throughout the level 1 to 3.
Okay.
And then the clinical teaching in year 4 and 5. So I won't be able to tell how much contact hours that students will have in terms of theoretical and then clinical, because it's quite a big program where there are so many components within the medical school. So we do have like different things like your placement, projects, all those things. So I would strongly encourage to study. If you are right, feel free to go to the university website. I believe that university website offering medicine and a lot of information on. This is also part of the interview process as well, because they want to know whether you have done your research. There are so many types of medical school, which one will suits you, and then those are the questions that they normally will ask in the interview as well.
Okay, since we have actually gone into the interview process itself, right? You could actually share like maybe some, if you do know of like certain questions that the faculty will actually ask students, perhaps you can actually share a bit with us, maybe a sneak peek per se.
Yeah, so I can only speak for Dundee's because I've not been to the other interviews for the other medical school. Basically what Dundee do is we do is the multiple mini interview. So we have like, stations. If you do a face-to-face session, then which means that you will go into like a room and then with a few stations and stuff like that. Yeah, so what they we'll discuss in the interview, I would say your personal statement actually is very important, because for Dundee, the personal statement will shape the discussion of your interview. So the first two stations basically will just they will just ask question about like what you have wrote on your personal statement, some of the significant what they call achievements that you have listed on your personal statements, and then from there they will lead you to a different discussion, and they will ask questions about it as well. Then we also have other stations where we'll discuss about like they will give you a situation and ask you how would you react to the situation. So that's one. I remember this question from one of the interviews. So there's this doctor. So you're on the way driving to the hospital because you have like an operation schedule for like, for example, 10 a.m. So you're on your way, but it is a very important operation. So when you are on your way, right, but you bump into another accident that requires attention as well, what would you do? So that's one of what would you do? That's the situation that they give. There's no right or wrong, but I guess important is how do you provide justification to the decision that you have made at that point of time.
Okay. One of the students is actually asking, how is the MMI conducted online for international applicants?
Okay, so for the MMI, we have, it's sort of like what we listed on the website is we will take a remote interview in a form of panel interview, but we also have some stations as well. So we will discuss about 5 scenarios during the interview, but we will make it like station based.
Okay.
I know it's not as real, but still probably they will still the questions will be very similar. It's just that they won't have the actor and actress, the room, and yeah.
Okay. Well, there is this one parent or student. Are there any students who quit after the first dissection?
Oh, good question. I wouldn't have the information because for the students who actually contacted me, so I cover Southeast Asia. So my region will be like, students from Malaysia, Thailand. So far I have still been keeping in touch with them. No one actually quit after the dissection, so it's a good thing. Yeah. But I think it's just that I'm not aware because most likely they are not from the region because I'm not aware that someone actually quit.
Then since we're actually going into areas like, for example, like the panel interviews and all of this, right? What kind of qualities does the University of Dundee really want to look at? Because when you actually mention about personal statement, right, there is already a shift right now in terms of the UCAS, whereby they're actually asking 3 structured questions instead of previous years where they actually go through the whole, like, just tell us everything about yourself. So how would the 3 structured question right now work for the University of Dundee?
Oh, okay, because it's something new because we still always talk about the old format of, like, you just need to list a few significant achievements and then we will sort of like discuss that from there.
Yeah.
But I guess no matter how the questions will be, right, the quality or experience that the university is looking for in a strong applicants won't actually sort of like go too far away from things like, of course, academic excellence is very important, especially in the area of sciences. But we are definitely looking into someone that is like an all-rounder, like strong and interpersonal skills, very important. And then insight into a career in medicine, like for example, your work experience, your volunteering experience. So those are the things that maybe one volunteering experience will actually showcase some of your really strong skill, like for example, teamwork, like communication, leadership. So those are the evidence. So we also want to see the evidence of teamwork, leadership, and also resilience. And one very, very important thing, it's a genuine commitment to caring for others. So this is something I would say it's the core of or sort of the sort of like all the strong how do I put this in word? All the strong
It's mainly their motivation, why they're and what really makes them really look going to such a lifelong learning course.
Yep. And we don't expect students to have very deep understanding of the NHS, the NHS values in the UK. We don't expect deep understanding, but we sort of like know at least NHS, what's happening. Recent news about NHS. They do have questions about NHS, and most likely they also have questions about your country's own medical system. So it's good to have some insight into that as well because it can be quite technical when it comes to the interview. So don't worry about like the deep understanding of the medical system, but at least you know what's happening. Yeah.
Okay. All right. There is this one particular parent who's actually asking, right, requirement for IB and the scores. From what I do know of with Dundee itself, like the entry requirement is still at 37, right? Or
yes.
Would that be due to change for next year?
Yeah, it's still 37. It depends on, because the course is very competitive and then we have limited places. So we list that 37 is the minimum requirement, but of course, it's very competitive. So the higher IB score that you have, basically is better. Yeah, because based historical data, students who sort of like got an offer basically score roughly about 42 and above. Yeah, so that's like the benchmark.
Okay. Then
Yes.
of the subject requirements itself, right? I know that it's actually listed as for HF, you need to get at least a minimum of 18 points, including chemistry and another science.
Yep.
If students were to do like, course in Singapore itself, right, there is two parts of it. Some students will actually be doing subjects that are related to physics, chemistry, and econs. Then there are also some students who will be doing biology, chem, math, and econs. So the one is actually still fine because they actually have the chemistry counted in already, right?
Yeah, so in the past, right, Dundee requires students to have chemistry is the compulsory subject. But now we have changed that for the upcoming intake. So it's either chemistry or bio, either one is fine.
See, okay. So Vijaya, I hope that Vijay, I hope that do answer your question itself in terms of the subject requirements for ID as well as the scores. Okay, Kat has actually asked, right, are there scholarship opportunities for medical students?
Generally for international students, we don't have any scholarship at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. Then I do note also, right, that the UKAT cutoff is not listed on Dundee's website. Is there like no minimum cutoff per se itself that Dundee is looking at?
Yes, so basically there's no UCAT cutoff. What we will do is if you go to the website, we publish historical data on UCAT. So if you go into the web, click under the entry tab, and then we basically have this admission statistics that you can view the previous intakes, like how much they score averagely, and then how much they score to get an interview. I would say roughly about 2,700 for the past 3 years, where the students got an interview, 2,700 and above that they were invited for the interview.
All right. And this year itself, we have actually changed the format again. So right now the full score is actually out of 2,700. So they actually remove abstract reasoning from the 5 sections that are actually being used for the UCAT. So basing on your answer just now itself, I would say if we are looking at it itself, right, perhaps about 1,009 out of 2,007 would suffice as a median, or would you say about 2,000 would actually be a better number for the current UCAT score?
Okay, because I have no insight into the new UCAT, so this is something that I need to get information from the medical school.
Okay.
Yeah. I can come back to you on this.
Okay.
Because I think what we publish on the website now is still the previous the previous test. Like,
UCAT just decided that last year itself, and all of us were like, okay, what's the new score? No one knows. So all of us are like, right now we are all really just playing the guessing game itself in terms of, okay, what's the new cutoff? Will they actually accept this cutoff? Will they accept a particular cutoff? Kind of like results and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Then this is another question that was actually asked by a parent. Does Dundee accept UKAT ANZ scores?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So as I've actually mentioned earlier on itself, there is actually no differences between UKAT ANZ as well as the UKAT UK, especially when you're looking towards applying to the UK, because there is a requirement that you have to put in where you actually have to email into the UCAT itself, right? There is an email. I can actually get the info out that you are actually speaking for the UKAT ANZ rather than the UKAT UK. So there is no differences at all. It's just that in terms of it's just that students in Singapore, especially the A-level students, right, they have only the month of July to be that they are free in a way. August, September, October, November, they're preparing for their prelims, and then after that, it's actually their finals. So what I generally do here, so if I try to tell them, if you can sit for the UCAT earlier, then you have enough time to prepare for your prelims and then also prepare for A-level. Then you can actually get the better scores and everything. A few of the parents actually asked again itself, is biology mandatory? I would say no, it's not a mandatory subject. Previously, like what Vivian has actually shared itself, they actually need it basically say chemistry is mandatory, but even now it's either for chemistry or you have biology itself, you are fine. So as long as you have any of the sciences itself, right, that is okay. Timothy, for your child who is actually taking A-level chem and physics, he is eligible to apply because he has the two sciences. If he doesn't have at least even one science itself, right, then it's not going to be easy for him to basically justify how to go through anatomy, physiology, that kind of like subjects.
Yep.
For the changes in terms of UCAT, it is actually the same as UCAT ANZ. Both are the same. It's just that two different countries offering it at two different timings. Previously for the UCAT UK, your exam dates are generally between August and September. Whereas for the UCAT ANZ, your test dates are generally July. So for students who are doing the A-levels here itself in Singapore, we will always tell them, please sit for the July test. I believe UCAT UK actually saw a dip in terms of the number of students who are sitting for the test here itself. So I think they actually changed the whole format to basically also having it starting from July. So you guys, basically everyone will actually have a lot of choices right now. Last time itself, I would just tell everyone just sit what at the ANZ. That one we don't have to worry about it because the test dates are like 1st of July to like 5th of August. So it doesn't clash with A-level. Doesn't clash with it. Now I cannot say that. Now if they were to ask, I would say either one is fine. This UCAT UK, you sit for it between 7th of July until like the 31st of July, or you sit for UCAT ANZ from the 1st of July until the 5th of August. It is so confusing right now. I don't know which one to favor again. Okay. Let's go back to a few other things that were asked before. Of course, these are the ones that are basically being asked in the chat. In terms of the support system itself, right, for medical students, what does Dundee have to offer?
We are not a really big medical school, so I would say it's a very friendly and supportive medical school that we have at the university. So what we do is the University of Dundee actually practice open door policy. So our lecturers, you don't really need to make an appointment to see them. As long as when you visit their office, the door is open, you can always go in and say, "Can I have a minute with you?" So that's what we do for our students. Yeah, so this doesn't happen in many of the universities. So we are very proud to say that this is one of the things that we offer to our students. Of course, we also offer quite a robust network of support service, including, like, for example, the this sort of like peer mentoring scheme from older medical students. So like what I say, it's a small medical school. The seniors are very supportive. It's just like our Singaporean and Malaysian students, those that in the medical school, they always make it a point to go and see our new medical students during the orientation, bring them around, ask them to enroll into, like, the Singapore society, the Malaysian society. They are very friendly. Yeah. The other thing is the access to the support service, student support service, like, for example, mental health, well-being. This is very important, especially, not only for our medical students, actually for students from all schools as well, because leaving home independently, like, leaving home independently, of course, you have to make new friends as well. So I guess those services are available for you if you really find it very difficult to adapt to a new environment. And then we have workshops and resources to support things like study skill, exam preparation, and also clinical competencies. And for medical students who need to apply for their foundation training in the UK, basically at the final year of the medical studies, we will have workshops talking about how you can apply to the foundation training in the UK, what you need to prepare. And then we have seniors coming in to tell you about your experience and things like that.
Okay, since we're actually in that area itself, right? Can international students still basically register to be a GP in the UK?
Yeah, we have. I would proudly say that we have quite high percentage of students stay back in the UK and do their foundation training and register themselves with the General Medical Council in the UK. Yep. I don't really know what will happen, like, in the next 5 or 6 years. But what happened now is, if you speak to our medical students, right, I would say about 95% of them actually stay back and do their foundation training. It's just a matter of how long is the wait to get the foundation training. Yeah, so some they applied to a very popular hospitals and then they probably won't get that quick response. And some that's willing to go a little bit like further and then they got the quick enough compared to their so it's very for the
Okay. Then this is a very touchy question to ask. How many seats are actually there for international students with the University of Dundee?
we have 16.
Pardon? 16?
We have 16.
16. Okay. Wow. Okay. So it's actually extremely competitive to actually apply in. And if you don't mind me asking, right, one of the parents actually asked, based on historical data, right, what is the percentage of acceptance for international students for Singapore? I don't think you would have that answer, right?
Actually, I have, because for my region, Malaysia are the pool of applicants. We have historically about 4 Singaporean got into Dundee. 4, 5. Yeah, got one about 3 years ago. We have 7 Singaporeans. Yeah, that actually got into our medical school.
Okay. Well, being a modern university with so much of like new technologies and everything, yeah, I believe that is actually one of the key catches itself for students.
Yep.
Okay. In terms of that foundation training that you have actually mentioned as well, right? Do you know how long, or basically what's the duration it takes itself, right, for them to actually get recognition with GMC after that?
It's 2 years. It's basically 2 years foundation training.
Okay.
And what I heard from, one of the academics that share about the process is like after 2 years, basically you can submit the application. But I'm not sure like how long is the duration that you will actually get to register with the GMC. But after the foundation training, basically you can actually do the registration already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Okay.
Yep.
Another one that's actually being asked right now, right, is actually fee structure. I understand that for the University of Dundee itself, your fees are basically around £43,370 a year.
That's the fee, and then but we also have the levy. Yeah. So what happened to Dundee is 43,000. It's basically the tuition fee, but we have a fee from the Scottish government to cover teaching costs that's payable by the student. It's an additional £10,000 every year, and then so the fees will go up to about 53,370 a year. We don't because the cost from first year, so we don't actually, if you look at the fees, right, we don't actually break down the fee to theoretical, then clinical later. So it is going to be clinical all the way for the 5 years of studies.
Okay. I believe that is actually still doable, because some of the other universities I see itself, right, just the first year fee itself already scared me almost half to death.
But this is, I think, in Scotland. So basically in Scotland, the £10,000 additional levy is imposed on international students who want to study medical courses in Scotland. So yeah, regardless you apply to Dundee or to Edinburgh, to Glasgow, we all have the same £10,000 levy to pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then a parent actually asked, right, how come Dundee's international acceptance is only at 16? Is there justification for that?
Yeah, because we are not a very big medical school, so the total number we can take in is 167. So 100% is the international. The reason why is because the places is actually governed by the government. So is controlled. The number of places available each year is determined by the Scottish Funding Council. So this is why we need to pay students to do their placements, right? That's why we can't actually offer too many, because some of the places are actually sponsored by the Scottish government. So they need to place more of their own home students compared to international students, because all those funding are actually available for home students but not our international students.
Okay. Then when Dundee actually gives out the offer itself, right? It would actually be from March onwards, right?
Yep. End of
March. How long do you normally give students to decide if they want to take it, or if they do not want, or if they want to reject it?
This is a really good question. It's like the class itself, right? Normally they like when is the date have to accept, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, for us we do have like is it like
a month, 2 months?
Yeah, about there is like about 1 or 2 months. You will need to click on whether you firm accept it, and then you will wait for because for Singaporeans they will always have the result earlier, because students sit for A-level, and then the A-level will release early in February, not the one that released in August. Yeah.
Okay. So if that is the case, if students are considering either about to UK or Singapore, right? If you guys actually do reply back early, would you say that a lot of students will actually choose to accept the UK, as in like the University of Dundee?
I don't get the questions.
Okay. Let's say we have a number of students who are looking to apply to the University of Dundee. Then that gives them the offer itself by end March. Let's say. Singapore also has their application that actually starts between February and March. So if you guys can actually give like an offer out like before use, I'm not sure.
I have students that comes to me sometimes with like they are holding an offer from the university, but they are also waiting for the offer from their local university, like for example NUS. So I think it's good. Some students tell me that it's good that Dundee actually released it in somewhere end of March. But those that actually don't get an offer by end of March, because the offer is going to be on a rolling basis.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. So we still have students actually receive offers throughout the next few months. Depends that who rejected, and then until like who didn't meet the entry requirement, all those things. Yeah.
Okay. Then for the NS boys itself, right, if they were to apply and they actually got the offer, can they defer up to 2 years, or
no?
Oh.
They can't. Yeah. We changed that. So we used to be able to allow students to defer, but I've just recently checked this again with the medical school. And then they say no deferment.
Okay. But the UCAT itself allows students to apply for a deferred entry. Is that not counted as well?
The medical
No, because when students look at applying through the UCAS, right, actually can choose like when they actually want the entry in. I haven't seen the latest one yet. I'm actually still waiting to see. I'm actually waiting for August itself, right, for the updated one itself for 2026 entry. So based on the previous ones itself that I have actually checked itself on, right? Normally when you select medicine, they select the university. They can also select when
they want. Okay.
you want to enter. So it's either like for 2025 itself, you will be applying for 2026. But then they will actually give you a deferred entry to 2027.
Because what I have here, right, I just read through the information that I received. So it says that deferral is not allowed. However, an applicant can complete the UKAT and MMI in their year of application, and then this will be considered against the cohort in their year of proposed entry.
Okay.
Yep. And then, so applicant would still not hold an offer until their year of entry, and then they would need to reapply in that year. However, they would not need to complete MMI.
So
They-
they repeated everything.
Yeah, they still go process.
Okay.
They applied for the year that they want to apply.
Okay.
But they don't need to go through like the interview anymore because it's already in the file.
Okay. Then a parent is actually asking, right, when it comes to accepting the UK offer itself, right, they are actually aware that some schools will ask for a non-refundable tuition deposit. Will Dundee ask for something like that, or?
Yes, we have a £5,000 deposit to pay if you want to accept the offer. It's refundable based on it's refundable based on circumstances.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
like for example, I've chosen to accept my Singapore offer is not a good.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, like if students have visa rejection, then we can refund the £5,000 to the student.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. Then this is a question that I want to also check with you. After graduation itself, right, do many of your graduates pursue specialties or they go into other things in medicine, especially with the University of Dundee?
Because we don't offer that many postgraduate medicine programs, so our students tend to, if they want to pursue specialization, they basically will just go explore other options. Yeah, because for what we have is just, I think, orthopedic that you are able to study the postgraduate medicine courses, or otherwise if you want to go into courses like public health, medical education. So those are the options that we have in Dundee. Yeah, but I don't really have the data like how many students actually come back to Dundee and do their postgraduate medicine, but basically they will go everywhere. Some will go back to their home country and start practicing, and then some they probably will think about what they want to specialize. Yeah, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for all of this information. I hope the parents and everyone who are currently listening in, they have actually gotten all of the info. If you haven't itself, right, feel free to actually drop in the chat. Then we can actually still go through some of the questions. Surin, you have actually asked if there are scholarships available for students. I will have to reiterate that Vivian actually mentioned that there is actually no scholarships for international students who are looking in terms of applying for medicine. If you are looking in terms of applying for other courses other than medicine, I believe there is actually a scholarship, right? Or has that scholarship already been taken out for other courses?
Yes. Global Excellence Scholarship of 5,000. And also, the scholarship is specifically for Southeast Asia students. That one is a very easy scholarship to have. 4,000 as you got an offer, you are from Southeast Asia. And the £5,000 and £4,000 is basically for every year of your studies. So it's applicable to all courses except for medical and dental.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's tough.
It is always a huge discussion whenever it comes to that. So, which university do I choose?
What I would say is spend some time looking into the city. Not because when you choose a university, it's not about only choosing the study, but it's also choosing a city that you think that you can stay and survive for the next 5 years. Yeah, I think it's very important because the environment that you want is very as important as the medical school that you want to choose. That's the first thing. I always ask the student, like, don't look into the medical school first, but look into the city that you want to stay, because I don't really want you to feel, like, okay, I'm a city girl, but I don't know why I belong here, and then it will just impact your studies. Okay. The second thing is, of course, the way of teaching, like the curriculum, the way of teaching, whether it suits you, or are you someone that like clinical teaching at the very first place. Some students, they might not feel confident, because I have students who come and tell me and say, I don't really want to go into clinical from the first year because I want to learn the theory first. That's how I learn. It's fine. That's not right or wrong, because we also have the traditional medical schools that are offering that, where you do the basic stuff of sciences and then only you go into a more practical and hands-on learning. Yeah, so I guess those are the two very important one. And then of course, students will take into consider things like ranking, facilities. Like for Dundee, we actually list all the facilities that we have. It's under the teaching assessment area. So what we have is, like simulation based learning. For example, we have this clinical skill center where we build sort of like replica ward for students to learn their clinical skill. So the students will actually interact with real and simulated patient to practice what they need to do in real life. So this is exposed to students during the first year. Then we also have like, work based experience, where for students who because we are based in Nine Wells, so it's an NHS teaching hospital. So there are many opportunities for students to gain on a real working ward. And then we have open door policy for our students. Basically, all our medical students will have access to the Nine Wells hospital, so allowing you to speak to the real patient anytime. So that's one of the things that it's very special to us as well. So I guess those are the few things the students might want to consider, like what kind of facilities is also very important. Yeah. And then cost of living, I know, like, the medical fee is very important already. So it's not very important, very expensive already. So of course, the cost of living is a very big thing for, parents who are paying for the kids. I would say accommodation is the biggest spending. Among, all the stuff that you need for living, accommodation is something that you want to consider. Of course, in Dundee, we have the on-campus accommodation. We also have the off-campus accommodation. For us, the cost of living in Dundee is very affordable. So this is something that we always tell students, because it's not a very expensive city to live in compared to our neighboring cities. Yeah. I mean, cost is also one thing that students might want to consider, and also for parents as well.
If you don't mind me asking itself, right? Is it still the same where because I know the UK government has actually, in a sense, raised the fees a little bit. So right now it's actually, they basically said in terms of maintenance fee, it's about 1,100 something per 9 months. So that's about like 11K. Will students be using all 11K, or they don't actually use up all the 11K?
Okay, this one is speaking from Dundee. I asked some of my students, like, how much you spend a month. This is including your accommodation. So basically what I got back is roughly about £800 a month. 800 to roughly about £1,000 a month. The £1,000 is basically they want to live very near to the university, like where you only like 1 minute walk. to the university. So the rental is higher. So for students who don't mind the 15 minutes walk, the weather in Scotland is really nice. Like minus the winter, but still it's very nice to, walk.
Yeah.
15 minutes away, you can really get a very decent price accommodation to stay. So I would say 800 to roughly about £1,000 is basically more than enough for students to stay in a city like Dundee. Yeah. No public transport cost is required basically because
Yep.
everywhere is walkable. And in Scotland, if you are 22 years old and below, you get to travel the entire Scotland by bus for free. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is like, you can just go Edinburgh, go Glasgow, go anywhere by bus for free. You save a lot on transportation because transportation is a costing in the UK. It's very high. Like sometimes you take a train, it's very expensive. Yeah. So those are the things that the students will find it, like you get to save quite a bit of money.
Okay. This is something that I need to check also with you. Does Dundee have any exchange programs with like NUS or NTU?
We have, but it's on exchange. Not in the area of medicine, but it's more like other subjects, like for example, biomedical science we have, biological sciences we have.
Yeah, I know about the exchange. I know about the joint program itself.
Yeah,
still running.
yeah.
That's still running, right?
Yeah, it's still running. Yeah.
Okay. But the joint program is actually not a medical program. So
Yes.
medicine itself they may not actually allow you to do any sort of exchange. Reason being is because when it comes to the teaching assessments and also when it comes to the exams and everything, right? Different countries does it differently. So by doing a medical exchange itself, it won't be helpful in a way.
So one thing, the student after the first 3 years, the students will have an option to do a intercalated year for an additional year. It's still within Dundee to gain I would say like a Bachelor of Medical Science in a range of subjects. So so for example, I give you an example. If you're interested in studies, you can actually take a break from the your medical program and then do 1 year in diabetes studies and then go back to your study again after that 1 year.
Okay.
So you will be able to tailor your degree and also study a topic in more depth.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's common among the medical school.
Okay. Time to do a bit more research. Okay. Ken is actually asking, right? Is it easy to get accommodations within the school for international students? I would say yes. First year students generally get a guarantee accommodation on campus, but after that, it would depend if they want to continue to stay on campus or if they want to actually group up with their friends and get an apartment away. How much would it be per month, if you don't mind me asking?
Okay, for Dundee, on a weekly basis is roughly about between £170 to roughly about £210. So it depends on the location. It's still on campus, but different locations. All our accommodation is like a single occupancy. Students don't have to share. The room come with their own bathroom. It's all students' dream. Every time, the question that I get from students, particular from Malaysia and Singapore, so do I need to share the bathroom? So basically, yes, it's all single. You don't have to share with anyone. Yeah, you will have your own bathroom. What you need to share is the common area, the kitchen. Then we have flats and apartment. So one flat and apartment will consist 4 to 6 bedrooms. Yeah, so it depends.
Okay.
Yeah, based on the experience, most of my students don't really want to stay in the campus second year onwards because they have friends, and then getting an accommodation within Dundee, private accommodation is not too difficult, and of course it's much more affordable. Yeah, of course students have to manage their own utilities, but if you stay on campus, everything is included. You don't really need to think about it. Just need to pay the rent and everything is covered. Yeah, but it's up to students. Dundee is a very easy city to live in. So getting private accommodation, no problem, very easy. We don't really have any huge accommodation problem. The availability, the quality of the accommodation, they are all very fine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I still remember the student I actually sent over to you years ago.
Yep. I think if you speak to any of our current students or graduate or alumni, I think they have a good time. They had a good time in Dundee. I wouldn't say it's a big city. I mean, to manage the students' expectation, because if just what I mentioned, if you are a city girl, city boy, then you will think that Dundee is maybe like a countryside, like that's nothing much. But I guess to study is like to go to a different is an experience. What you really want to experience is something that you don't actually experience in your own country, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, we have on a day as a student. Plus, you might hobby, like for example, skiing, outdoor activities, hiking. So those are the things that the city can offer, because it's just within 10 minutes away, then you can go for a hike. And then if you want something that's fancy, you can always take the train. It's just 1 hour to Edinburgh. You don't have to live in Edinburgh. It's very expensive, but you can live in Dundee, still visit Edinburgh over the weekend. So those are the things that we always tell students that it's very different experience.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for actually joining our session, Vivian. It has actually been very, very informative, and I believe some of the parents are actually very grateful to actually get some of these insider tips as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
And all the best for those that like to medical school.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Vivian. For the other participants itself, right? Thank you as well. We will actually be continuing with the remaining parts of our session right now. So I just want to say thank you once again to Vivian, and I do hope to actually see you soon